Welcome to Growth Minded Conversations. We're your hosts, Amy Diestelkamp and Paula Grimes from Growth Minded Talent Solutions, where we talk about the real leadership and hiring decisions behind building a growing business. Today, we're diving into I think one of the biggest decision maker or decision pieces that small business owners, self-employed career professionals face, and that is, how do they know when it's time to hire? Have you ever faced this complex decision-making process in your career?
On a bigger scale, it's not so much from I'm a single person and I don't know when it's time to hire. It's more of we're an organization and is it time to hire that other person into our organization? Or can we reorganize some things and keep our current staff and still accomplish more?
There are two different situations in this scenario, right? As someone who might be a single self-employed business owner, you're responsible for doing everything start to finish every day, versus someone who might already run a small team or run a business. Your strategy around hiring might look a little different depending on where you are. But I think for either camp, there's a lot of confusion around what factors really need to go into that decision to make a hire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What do you see most common in either small businesses or self-employed individuals? What do you see as most common when the topic of hiring comes up for them?
What am I going to give this person to do? How am I going to keep this person busy full time? What am I going to take off my plate? And is there enough to take off my plate to make this hire worth hiring? I think that's the biggest one, especially when you're a single career business owner, self-employed, is do I have enough on my plate to take off my plate to actually keep somebody busy full time? And Amy, I know you're asked that question a lot, right? What am I going to give them? And what do you typically find as you start to dive into that with people?
Yeah, there are two components of it. There's the practical component. Do I even have enough to fill 40 hours in a week to give someone else? But then there's the emotional component of it. Do I have enough, or is my business at the point where I deserve to hire somebody? I deserve to offload some of this and delegate some of these tasks away from my plate to someone else. Mind trap of, I don't know if I've earned the right to bring someone else into my business. I don't know if I've arrived yet or gotten to that point yet. Once you get past that, I feel like the floodgates tend to open up and you look around and you find all the things that you can give away. When you're plugged into your business and you are operating at your highest and best self as a business owner, and things are moving and your business is growing, even if that's not where you are right now, you've probably been in that situation before at some point while growing your business. When you were doing that, what were the things that you were doing the majority of your time? And they're going to be the dollar producing activities, right? So this is your lead generation. This is attending events, networking. This is getting in front of clients, meeting face to face with referral partners, developing those relationships with trusted vendors or third parties that might be able to connect you with new opportunities. If that's where your time is most valuable, everything else that comes up and comes across your desk during a day needs to be, we need to figure out and find who else can be doing this. If it's not something that can be automated away with AI or technology or a system, then it's going to be a who. Who's going to do this if I'm out serving my business by doing my dollar producing activities the majority of the time? And then it becomes really clear, right? We can almost go through someone's calendar and say, okay, walk me through a typical day for you. You come into the office or you plug into your computer, whatever it is, first thing in the morning. What are you spending your time doing? The answer isn't, I'm jumping in and I'm getting ready to make calls, or I'm closing a deal, or I'm working on a project for a potential big client. If those aren't the things you're doing, you're tracking down paperwork, you're answering emails, you're combing through your social media inboxes, things like that's all something somebody else can do. And you just go through your calendar block by block of what you do in a day and ask yourself, are these things that are making me money or are these things that are costing me time? And that's how I balance it.
I also find that once we figure out those things that can absolutely come off our plate, and if it's not 40 hours, it's always amazing where your mind starts to go. What else could we do? Because we're still growing a business.
Yeah.
And we often aren't doing a lot of the things we could be doing because we don't have the time. We don't
Yeah.
have the capacity. And when we have somebody else come into our business, not only does it free up our time to grow our business, but we also have somebody else that can help us grow our business too. It isn't always everything I'm currently doing. It's
Yeah.
what are all the things I could be doing?
And to that point, Paula, right? If you sit down and you run through all the things that are eating up your time and you're already at 40 plus hours of work a week, you might even be to the point of almost needing two people. Because if you bring someone on, you give them this 40 hours of admin, operational systems type tasks that are already taking up a majority of your time. You get them trained up, they're doing this. And then you go out and start drumming up even more business because your time is back. This person's already going to be at capacity, right? The right time to bring someone on and let them figure out the role and let them get systems and designed and processes organized is before they're already at capacity. If you look around and think, I've got 25, maybe 30 hours worth of work for someone in a week, you'll be surprised as your business grows, that extra 10 to 15 hours gets eaten up really fast. And you want it to. That's the sign that your business is growing.
Another component of determining when it's time to hire is that financial piece. If I'm not making enough money to even support myself, it may not be time to hire.
Yeah.
Financially, I can more than cover somebody's salary. And I see a lot of fear around this. I can cover everybody's salary, but what if my business slows down or what if this happens? So I do see a lot of people start to go into fear, like they can absolutely afford to bring someone on, but they start fearfully looking at the future. And yet that's holding you back, that fear of, hey, I know I can afford a person today. I'm worried if I can afford them 6 months from now or a year from now. That fear is actually going to hold your business back. The other thing I see that's really fascinating to me is people get into building a business for themselves. They're self-employed and their income's increasing. It almost becomes like a game. I made 100,000 this year. I made 150,000 this year. I made 200,000 this year. And our income's going up and up. And then we get to the point where we're so big that it's time to hire somebody. And I also see people having trouble giving that money away. It's like they've become so in tune with making more and more income that the thought of sharing that income can become difficult.
In the immediacy of hiring someone, it could feel that way. I'm just giving my income away to someone else. But in the long run, the concept is really as a sole business owner, self employed person, the amount of money you're able to make doing it alone is only going to get you a pie that's only so big. You might have the whole pie, but it's tiny. And by bringing on other people, the pie gets larger. Your slice of that pie might be smaller than the whole thing, but because the pie gets larger and larger, and there's nothing that has to stop the growth of that pie, you're still able to end up ahead and making the money that you want to make, exceeding your financial goals because you're doing it together. You're not going it alone.
Yeah. When I follow teams' growth from single agent to now I have this massive team, the profitability of the business over time slowly decreases. If we look at it percentage wise, the percentage of profitability is slowly decreasing with the growth of it. However, that's the percentage. It's not the actual number. The percentage is going down, but the dollar that I'm taking home is actually going up over time. So if we get too caught up into the percentage we're giving up, right? I went from 50% profitability to over time, now I'm at 30% profitability. And it's like I just lost 20% profitability. It can seem really scary, but when we look at the bottom line and we see that the dollar amount has actually increased and I am actually taking home more income today than I was 3 years ago or 5 years ago when I had the higher profitability, that's growth.
That's growth in your wallet. That's growth in your bank account. That speaks to nothing around the growth in your quality of life and your time. You're making more money essentially, and also hopefully getting a work life balance.
Yes, because you have more people working for you.
As you work with teams or individuals looking to bring on hires and they've got these questions, they've got these concerns around affordability. Is there a rule of thumb? Is there something that you tell your clients that you work with around what's a good thing that they can determine if their business actually is financially stable enough to be able to bring someone on?
If somebody has some fear around that, I look at what is your past history? Have you had consistent, steady growth? It didn't happen overnight. And what does your savings look like? Do you have reserves there? When you hire somebody and you're paying them $60,000 a year, it's not like you're giving them $60,000 the minute you hire them. And the following 12 months, you're giving them a piece of that $60,000 each month. Do you have 3 months in the bank? Do you have 6 months in the bank? It gives you that peace of mind of, yeah, if I have a couple of hard months and I don't make the income that I've been expecting to make, I know I'm covered. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to panic. So it's like, how do you set yourself up to relieve some of that fear?
When it comes to are we ready to hire? I hear a lot from people saying things like, I need more business before I hire, or no one will care as much as I do about this business, and I want it done my way. Are there other hiring myths out there that you often see when you're talking with people around hiring?
Oh, that's a good one. All my systems need to be in place before I can hire somebody. I hear it all the time. And it's like, that is why you're hiring somebody. You're hiring somebody to come and put all those systems in place for you, to document everything for you. Whether you realize it or not, you have a system in place. You cannot have success in a business if you do not have systems and processes in place. They just often live in our head. It's just you don't have a checklist somewhere because the checklist lives in your head.
And they'll probably do it at a better quality level of work than you would if you were trying to do it because the the fact of the matter is if you were really good at this, at creating these kinds of systems or documenting these things, you would have already done it because that's the most efficient, easiest way to run a business. We have to, I think, also be really honest with ourselves as business owners, as leaders, as individuals of what are my key strengths. Those key strengths are most likely also aligned with your dollar producing activities because that's what got you to this level of success to begin with. Trying to wait and hoping that you'll become better at doing the non-dollar producing activities and you'll eventually have your systems built for someone else to plug into is unrealistic. If you were going to be the person to do it, you would have already done it by this time. If you wait to build out all your systems and then hire somebody really talented to come in and help you with your business, they're most likely going to break and rebuild those systems anyways. So you might as well just save yourself the time and let them come in and build them from scratch.
100%. And if you're struggling with what do I give them or with control, I want to hold on to this. I always go back to what is your dollar per hour? And when you figure out your dollar per hour, it's usually pretty high by this point in your business. And if you're hiring somebody at, say, $20 an hour, but your dollar per hour is $200 an hour, it's like, why are you doing that $20 per hour job? Your time is more valuable. There is a better place to spend it.
I actually had a client once who they turned that concept almost like into a game because before they hired their first assistant, they calculated out, they knew their dollar per hour. And 6 months after hiring their assistant, they went and recalculated their dollar per hour. And their business had grown so much that their dollar per hour had tripled. They were at almost $600 per hour.
That's amazing.
And because of that, then it will almost like incentivize them. What else can I be getting off my plate? Do we bring on a marketing person? Do we bring on a runner? Like they were ready to see how high they could get their dollar per hour by continuing to outsource other things in their business. And they got really tuned in to their dollar per hour calculation. And that was a driving force for them. If you go calculate that out, that might be a great way to gauge the difference in your business, the growth in yourself professionally by keeping track of that dollar per hour.
Yes.
If a listener is unsure, what are 2 to 3 questions they could ask themselves this week to get clarity around hiring?
Can your business afford it? Do you have consistent business? Meaning you didn't just have a miraculous month and you lost your mind for that month. Do
Yeah.
you have consistent business where your business is on an upward trajectory? And is now the time to hire? Or are you going to wait until you're in so much pain that you actually don't have the capacity to hire and you make a bad hire, which will be a whole nother topic along the way? And can you afford it? Do you have some money in the bank that gives you some peace of mind that if for some reason you had a slow month, the 2 months after you hired somebody, you would be absolutely fine?
What might you say to someone who is they're there? They've done the soul searching. They have looked at their business. They know that this is something they need to do, and they just can't take that next step. They just can't pull the trigger and move it forward. What do you think usually holds them back at that point?
It's really determining where you have some fear.
Yeah.
Where do you have some fear? And talking through that fear with somebody outside yourself, somebody in your industry, somebody who's ahead of you, who's had to go through this decision before.
I hear so much from people that underlying fear really is rooted in no one's going to care as much about my business as I do, or I want it done my way. And I don't know how to like bring someone on to make sure that they're going to do it my way. And I think it can be really freeing to, if you can work to get to that idea that this isn't about giving things up or losing control of your business. It's really about making room for you to be able to do the things in your business that only you can do. So, what are the things that truly you bring to the business that have really contributed to your success? It's probably not the way you organize your files or your emails or your calendars. It's about the way you connect with people. It's about the way you educate your clients. It's about the way you stay in front of them, show them that you care, bring them value, and let someone else do all those other things that don't affect your relationship with your clients or the way you communicate with your clients. So that way you can pour into them even more and make that an even stronger piece of your business. It's not about letting go of everything. It's about only holding on to the things that matter most. Any final thoughts as we wrap up here today, Paula?
Stay tuned for further episodes because we covered a lot of tip of the iceberg topics today that we're going to expand on in further episodes. So if you heard something today, it's, oh, I want to know more about that. Trust us. We will be diving deeper into it.
And next week's episode is actually going to be all around, okay, I've made the decision to hire. Now I need to figure out what I'm going to have this person do.
All right, growth-minded leaders, that's a wrap on today's episode. We hope this sparked some fresh ideas and fueled your drive to build, lead, and grow with purpose. And if something we shared helped shift your perspective, we'd love for you to leave a review. It helps us reach more business builders just like you. Better yet, share this with someone on your team or in your inner circle who's ready to level up their leadership game. Until next time, keep leading boldly, hiring wisely, and training with intention. You're not just building a business, you're shaping a legacy.